I want to talk about this. You guys know I have been following artificial intelligence, robotics, what's going on in this space, what are the innovations, all of that. So I have really been seeing this trend of pushing more of the virtual humans, is what they're called, are these digital influencers, artificial intelligence, robots, whatever you want to call them. They're kind of all in the same boat. It's just whether it's an actual physical robot or online robot versus something that is, you know, in the digital sphere, but being created to be more human-like. So we have this space where these influencers are becoming more and more digital. So digital influencers, while at the same time we have humans becoming more digital. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to bring up this video and kind of start things off to highlight what I'm talking about, what's been the trend, because there has been an influx of digital models, digital influencers, and now even digital actors are coming into play. So I'm going to pull up this video actually. Actually going to pull up two videos. One is through CNBC, the other is from a YouTuber, Simplistically Digital. So I'm going to pull up the first video and hopefully my audio shares correctly. I'm going to try. But I want to highlight Lil Michaela and the rise of digital models because I think it will really impact the influencer space, which I am in, and I know a lot of other people are in. So let's bring this up. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Let's see. Let's bring it up. That's probably pretty good. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make myself smaller and put myself in the corner here. But let me play this video. It will give kind of an intro into what I'm talking about when it comes to these digital influencers and how I feel it is negatively going to affect normal people.
These are the new faces of the fashion industry, except they're not real faces. They're actually digital models, and they may change the over $2 trillion global fashion industry as we know it. Meet Shudu. She's a gorgeous 20-something model from South Africa, and she's also 100% computer generated.
Shudu is based off of South African Princess Barbies.
Shudu is known as the world's first digital supermodel. She's the brainchild of London-based visual artist Cameron James Wilson. Cameron created Shudu last year using the modeling softwares DOS 3D and Clo. Cameron says that creating Shudu's realistic pictures is a labor-intensive process that can take days to complete.
It was kind of a testament to my skill that people didn't know that she was real or not. You know, and I would kind of gauge how maybe well I had done depending on the comments on the image.
Brands have taken notice of the virtual beauty. In February, Rihanna's Fenty Beauty line reposted a photo of Shudu wearing one of its lipsticks, though the post has been removed from the company's Instagram page since. Earlier this year, Shudu was featured on the Instagram page of fashion company Soul Sky wearing one of its t-shirts. Shudu is part of a growing trend of virtual brand ambassadors. Michaela is a 19-year-old Instagram influencer with over 1 million followers. And like Shudu, she's completely fabricated. Michaela was created by Brood, an LA-based startup that specializes in...
Okay, so I have to pause it right there because the sad thing, going back to the prior segment where they have this digital model, she's a very dark toned black woman or African woman. Let me go back for a second. It's really discouraging that this opportunity, these multiple opportunities, was given to a digital influencer, not a real person, when it could have, you know, all of these opportunities that could have been given to an actual dark toned woman. So I'm just a little disappointed seeing that. I really am. I'm really disappointed seeing that. And I had heard about this. I think it was maybe a year or so ago. But just to hear the sheer amount of opportunities, even working with Fenty, like just imagine that could have been an opportunity for a woman that looks like that in real life. But no, it had to be digitally created to this, perfection, right? Anyway, I just wanted to pause there because that's very disappointing and kind of along the track that I am a bit afraid of us going in. All right, let's keep going here.
Brand ambassadors. Michaela is a 19-year-old Instagram influencer with over 1 million followers. And like Shudu, she's completely fabricated. Michaela was created by Brood, an LA-based startup that specializes in artificial intelligence and robotics. Michaela, or Lil Michaela as she's known on Instagram, frequently poses in designer wear like Moncler and Chanel. At this year's Milan fashion show, Prada used the digital diva to promote its fall 2018 collection via animated GIFs on Instagram stories. Michaela has even broken into the music business with 3 singles on Spotify. Brood is also behind Michaela.
Okay, I have to stop it right there too because so she's breaking into the music industry, she's modeling, like just think about how hard it is to get into some of these industries and this digital influencer is able to do so. And I have my thoughts of why that it is so easy. There are certain things that you don't really have to deal with when it comes to an digital influencer versus an actual human being. So that's just unfortunate to see, a digital AI can get all these opportunities, whereas, real people will have to struggle unless maybe you know someone in the industry, maybe your parents are in that industry. But no, it just makes it sound so easy here.
Michaela's male counterpart, Blacko22, and her Trump-supporting arch-nemesis, Bermuda is Bay. This seems to open up the opportunity for.
Okay, and so did you guys catch that? Trump supporter, arch ne- arch nemesis. So these are made up like drama. So they're making up drama between these digital AI influencers. It's wild.
Brands to partner with whichever avatar fits their message best. Brood declined to answer CNBC's questions and would not say if the company is making any money off of Michaela's online persona. But Cameron sees real potential for virtual models and says he hopes to eventually profit off of them, though he doesn't currently make any money off of Shudu. Cameron recently launched a website called The Digitals to show.
Okay, so hopefully that was heard clearly. The end game is the profit off of the digital influencers. So in my book, I think the whole influencer world will not be controlled as much by just your everyday person, but more so who can create the best digital influencer. So the technical person behind it or the businesses behind it that can create these digital influencers so that they can bring in the money versus the regular, people that happen to be very charismatic or have some type of skill or resonate in some way with, the typical person. I feel like these opportunities might start going away for them if we're continuing to push more of these digital influencers. Those are just my thoughts. Moving on.
Showcase different characters that brands may be interested in partnering with.
Lots and lots of brands have reached out to me about having their own kind of spokesperson, and it seems to be very, very popular.
Louis Vuitton has also embraced the trend of digital brand ambassadors. The French fashion house used the video game character from the cult classic Final Fantasy to promote its Spring-Summer 2016 collection. Then there are companies like Looklet that are taking photoshopping models to the next level. It's a Swedish design company that 3D scans real models and makes molds of their bodies so that they can make perfectly proportioned mannequins.
Okay, so that right there too. So this idea of making this perfect human. So they're taking real models and taking their image, shifting that into a digital form, and then perfecting it just how they want to. And now they can use that image instead of the model. So why do we need models if we're just going to use these digital ones?
Mannequins are then dressed and photographed for online catalogs, saving clients time and money on photo shoots. In a statement to CNBC, Looklet said, With real models, you have the full range of variables with working with anyone on set: potential lateness, missed flights, wariness, then of course the need for hair and makeup, and the casting and licensing contracts. With Looklet, we take care of all those things, so that's a huge weight off of clients to have to manage. Looklet's customer roster includes names like Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus. But digital models don't necessarily have to mean the end of living, breathing models.
Models can stand to benefit a lot from 3D models because in the future, a model can actually have a 3D counterpart and then generate an income off of that counterpart without actually having to do the work necessarily.
So again, what I was mentioning, not so much the actual model actually getting the income. Now you can actually create a model, a digital model. And now that you're creating them, you can now get that income. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to shift over. Let me hide that for a second. I'm going to shift over to this other video because I want to highlight one, the shift for humans moving into the digital space. But I want to address some articles too because I do want to show real life that these digital models, digital influencers, are actually getting jobs. So I want to highlight that. Let me see what I can go to. I think it's this one. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. So, bodycon job. So we're highlighting Michaela because she's probably one of the most popular compared to like FN Mika, the rapper, and some of the other ones. So they have these real life issues that show up, but they actually are getting jobs. So she's 15-year old. She's living this Instagram lifestyle. Or, I'm sorry, 19 years old. She's Brazilian American. Like they have this whole story for Michaela. And it's interesting that in that video, the guy was saying he isn't getting money from his digital AI, but he hopes to. Because I'm wondering who is getting the money from creating these digital influencers. That's her arch nemesis, Bermuda. So there's a ton of these, and I'm actually gonna find this site. I talked about it before, but it's called Virtual Humans. So I'm gonna bring up this. Because it is really interesting to me. Again, I think there will be a shift of using more of the digital models in comparison to real ones. Because if you think about the cost for the employer is going to be less. So you saw Vogue, they're using digital influencers now. They're going to have less costs. They're not going to have to deal with bad attitude. They're not going to have to deal with anyone being late. They're not going to have to deal with, all these things that we as humans go through. Weight fluctuations. If a model becomes pregnant, or if they're tired, or if they're, started smoking or something, now their skin looks bad, whatever, they can really build a model of this perfection. So what happens to us as humans if we're continuing to look at this and see these digital, so it's gone from putting models into our faces and actors and actresses into our faces that are obviously photoshopped, right? They're doing extreme measures to have a look of perfection. It's not realistic. But now we're taking it a step further and we're saying the models aren't enough. The human models aren't enough. We're going to need these digital influencers. We will take a mode of a molding of a model, of a real model. We're going to use that and we're going to build our digital model. So we don't need you anymore. We have this digital model that we can use. And they're not going to age. They're not going to gain weight. They're not going to have bad days. They're going to do exactly what we want. So it's interesting to me. So it's this fake sense of perfection that we're striving for, and now it's getting. I think it's going to get worse. So we feel like people are going online and feeling depressed and things like that because of what they're seeing is fake. It's not realistic. People are not just in hair and makeup all day long. Like everyone doesn't have, this perfect look all day long. So we're moving to the digital form. Okay. So let me pull up the virtual humans because I do want to show, like, hey, there's a bunch of them. Let me see here. I'm going to share this one. And then I'm going to move on to show how I think there's a shift moving to influence us humans, us normal people, to actually animate ourselves. I think it's very strange times right now. Okay, so this is being brought up here. So this is Virtual Humans. This is a website where you can actually go and see all of the virtual AI influencers. So you can see I brought this up before. You see FN Mika, who is the famous rapper who is completely digital. It's not real. You got Michaela Salsa, who we were just looking at. She's had, as you heard, ad deals from Vogue magazine, like, Vogue. She's also done a couple of commercials. I've seen her doing a commercial with another model, which I think was Bella Hadid or Gigi Hadid, one of the Hadids. And she has 1.13 million followers online. Digital, completely digital, not real. And then we have more and more. Knox Frost. We have AI Angelica, who's like a gamer YouTuber. So more and more of these folks, and they're actually portraying themselves, like they're humans. And this site is called Virtual Humans. They have backstories and everything else. So if you click on Michaela, change seeking robot with the drip is what she's saying. And there was something else in here on one of her videos because she makes YouTube videos as well. Hello, Michaela. She said something about 2020 there was a robot invasion or something. I just think it's kind of strange. So her now managers and Robo Family, Los Angeles-based tech startup Brud, believed she deserved a chance at a better life and reprogrammed her to have human level consciousness. We're going to talk about that a little later. I need to speed this up because I plan on being on here for just until 5:30. So let me keep moving on. 6:30. But I do also want to highlight she was listed in Times Magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet, and she's not human. She's a robot, right? Again, more and more, we're going to be pushed to see the AI, the digital influencers versus the human. Okay, so I want to move forward with my next follow up to this. I want to talk about the shift for humans and push for humans to, digitalize ourselves. So I'm going to share this video. It is from Simplistically Digital, a YouTuber on here. Let me stop sharing for just a second and pull that up. But it's wild. To some people, it may sound like, oh, Jessica, you're stretching, but I just try to pay attention to little things because we're seeing it slowly, but eventually I do see us working right alongside robots. There's reason movies are showing this to us. Change does not happen so fast, right? I know that there's this kind of saying that goes around where you talk about if you want to cook a frog, you don't just throw the frog in boiling water. You put the frog in water, you tick the temperature up, slowly. And by the time the frog realizes, he's already done for it. I know it's really sad now. Poor frog. But That's something that happens with change. You change things over time. You don't just flip things quickly. Okay, so I want to show this. Taking off the music for just a second. I don't know if I am sharing the audio. Let me try that again. Let me try that again. Okay.
Some boys take a beautiful girl and hide her away from the rest of the world. I want.
Okay, so that was a video that Simplistically Digital did. She actually took her face. I think she used the Reface app. I know there's a bunch of different apps you can use now to change into a digital person or an avatar. And I do see this being pushed more and more. Again, this agenda, we're pushing more of the virtual humans in front of us. They're taking jobs now. They're becoming models. They're becoming actresses. They're becoming actors. They're becoming rappers. They're becoming YouTubers, right? And the person that creates them is now getting paid versus just your regular person that says they want to become an influencer. So now we have this kind of idea that now the AI, they're the perfection, right? We're taking the models we saw in that earlier video. They don't need the model anymore. They just need the model so they can make a mold of their body, their face. Now they're going to take that, perfect it, and now they have their digital person that's never going to change, never going to have attitude, never going to get wrinkles, never going to, whatever, lose their muscles, whatever it is. Hey, Partly Cloudy, nice to see you. Welcome in. Doing well. How are you? I'm not going to be on too long. So we see all this, right? So we just saw the reface, right? So we're shifting into, again, this idea that, okay, the digital AI is perfection now. So now we have this push with all these apps to become digital. And I do feel like this was spurred more in 2020, but I want to pull up this other article because there are a lot of there's one rapper in particular that has gone all in on the AI and digitalizing himself. So I want to pull up Travis Scott, and then I do want to mention Lil Nas X as well. Let me find this real quick. Okay, so I'm hopefully sharing this with you. So this article is basically talking about these big name artists that started in 2020 to really dig into digital AI and start. Hopefully, and start utilizing it for their concerts. So I'm not going to really play it just because I don't want to get a ding on this video, but I encourage you to check it out. Travis Scott completely made himself into, this digital rapper. He's like this giant of a man in this video. He did a virtual concert series last May, so May 2020. He did a partnership with Epic Games and Wave Performance, and he was teleporting all over the place, there was all this type of lights and imagery, and just you almost felt like you were in a game. And it was just a 10-minute long performance, but it was very cool, very dynamic. So you heard his voice, but where my mind goes is that 12.3 million people were tuned in to watch this performance. So that's way more than, and they highlight here, that's way more that can ever fit into a traditional concert venue. So that right there is showing for the bottom line, you could charge ticket price, right? And actually get more people. You don't have to deal with, you know, if the artist is feeling a little bad that day, you don't have to deal with an artist showing up late if they're digital. And I'll just show a little clip here. So you've got all this stuff going on. You got these little dancers in here. Travis Scott's like a big giant, and again, he was teleporting all over the place, which it keeps your attention because I mean it's really cool. But he's teleporting all over the place. You got the music, you got all this going on, and I will say it was very good. It kept my attention watching it. But again, I feel like we've got this thinking now of we're kind of shifting to seeing the digital form as the perfection, right? So the humanity is just not good enough. Hi, Latanya. Welcome in. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Hi, Bradley. Bradley Willis. Welcome. Robots have no emotion. Exactly. And you don't have to deal with, but here's the thing though. They don't, but they do, right? They don't, but they do. They have been made now to have and show emotion. Now, I have a pinned video at the top of this chat where I showed videos of Lil Michaela, who's one of the most popular influencers. She's doing an interview with a human person. She's done actual advertisements with another model. So when you listen to her, you look at her, she shows emotion. She's coming back to you. She's responding, all of that. Like it's conscious level robotic, right? So I want to also talk about Lil Nas X. He's also implemented the whole digital work for his last video, right? We saw that. And then we also saw it a little bit with Doja Cat. Doja Cat has always implemented like gaming and this digital life into her videos. And then recently with the whole the video "Kiss Me More," it was as if these goddesses were playing with this human, but he was an AI. He was in a game. So again, we're seeing a lot of different imagery and just small like snippets of this idea being pushed more and more to push you to digital versus just the humanity, just seeing someone face to face, just going to a regular concert. No, it has to be an artificial concert, right? So it's just strange. It's just strange. I do think again, I think there's a push for this fake sense of perfection with using digital influencers now, digital YouTubers, digital models, digital actresses, all of that. And then what does that mean for humans? Well, if there's a push for these companies to say, hey, I can just pay a set fee for this digital influencer and I don't have to deal with X, Y, and Z that a normal human would have, like gain weight, you know, leaving because they don't feel good that day, bad attitude, whatever. They don't have to deal with that. They don't have to deal with people showing up late. Digital. Turn it on, turn it off. And so the person that can create that gets the income, right? Taking now, I don't know if it takes away from regular people, but here's the thing. In that earlier video we saw, Lil Michaela in Vogue getting music deals. The regular person, like, and she's 19, right? But the regular person does not get that as easily. Doesn't just wake up. I think I want to get a music deal today. It's not that easy. But for digital AI, that is the perfection. They can get that. Hey, Proud Mama. You're in the ad. Well, thank you for watching the ad. I appreciate that. Hey, KB. Welcome in. So, all right. So the other thing I wanted to just highlight really quickly. Let me take this away for just a second. I just want to pull up one other thing to highlight. I didn't talk about everything I wanted to talk about, but I think I covered most of it. Because I think there's a problem. I do. I think that with this whole shift of pushing virtual humans in front of us, then pushing humans to incorporate themselves into digital spaces, it's taking more and more away from humanity. And I do think the image, as I pointed out earlier, with social media and things, we think it's bad now with us just looking at a normal person that's an influencer and thinking they have this perfect life and dealing with maybe depression and mental, health things now. I think it will get worse if we're looking at digital influencers, because after you see them for a while, you forget they're not even human. I'm telling you, like, if you watch some of these videos, if you watch my last video that I have pinned in here, you will see how easy it is to forget this is a robot. This is not a real person, because they're so lifelike. They show emotion. There's the technology behind it, and a lot of big companies are pushing for it more and more because there's, obviously financial advantage to having artificial intelligence robot. Every large tech company, every large company has some type of investment into artificial intelligence right now. Machine learning, right? Robotics, something. Virtual reality. All of that is coming. Okay. So I want to highlight this last one. So I want to take it from here, what we last saw with looking at the virtual humans site, right? Little Michaela. Let me pull this up for just a second. So under the who is Michaela, so we have the fact that she is 25, Time Magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet. She's not human, right? But she was reprogrammed to have human level consciousness. Okay. So we see that. All right, taking that away for a second. I want to pull up this. I think this is where I want to leave it off at. Wait, is it this one? Yes. Okay. So, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear and see this article that I have up here. Let me make myself a little bit smaller, put myself in the corner. All right, so this site, so this is frontiers.org, frontiersin.org. So they follow the whole humanoid robots. So they have a lot of different research they're putting into this. The research topic they had was about consciousness and humanoid robots. So they're saying building a conscious robot is a grand scientific and technological challenge. Debates about the possibility of conscious robots and the related positive outcomes and hazards for human beings are today no longer confined to philosophical circles. So it's not just this idea, like, oh, what would happen if, robots could have consciousness? What would it mean? Right? Uh-oh, I'm getting a call, so it went away. Hopefully you can hear me now. Okay, so what would it mean, right? No, it's transformed beyond just the thinking of, oh, what would happen if, to now it being like a real, like, what would it mean? Because scientists are actually trying to make robots more and more conscious, build consciousness. So they're saying there is no accepted definition of consciousness, and then they're relating to something else. However, it's useful to point out the distinction of consciousness as experience and consciousness as a function. From the point of view of experience, the subject is conscious when she feels visual experiences, bodily sensations, mental images, and emotions. So a subject has conscious experience if there is something it is like to be that subject. If there's something it is like to be that subject. From the point of view of a function, the conscious subject is able to process information which is globally available. She integrates information. She is introspectively aware of herself. Moreover, she generates inner speech. She possesses an inner model of herself and external environment. She's able to anticipate perceptual and behavioral activities, and she acts by sensor motor, if I can say that word, interactions with the external world. So this contrasts the possibility of experiences in robots and purposes the notion of cognitive consciousness, offering a definition in terms of formal axioms. So, robot consciousness is a research field aimed at twofold goals. On the one side, scholars working in robot consciousness take inspiration from biological consciousness, looking at human consciousness, to build robots that present forms of experiential and functional consciousness. On the other hand, scholars employ robots as tools to better understand biological consciousness. So the goal concerns the replication of aspects of biological consciousness in robots by unifying a variety of approaches from artificial intelligence or AI in robotics to cognitive robotics, epigenetic, and affective robots, situated and embodied robots, developmental robots, anticipatory systems, and biomimetic robots. Right? Okay. So the goal of robot consciousness concerns the employment of robots to mark progress in the study of consciousness in humans and animals. Notably, neuroscientists involved in the study of consciousness do not exclude the possibility that robots may be conscious. And I go to this because you see these shows on TV, and I've said it in multiple videos. I don't believe when you're watching a TV program, it's just a program. Like someone just made it up out of the blue. There's no realness to it whatsoever at all. There's normally some speck of something there. Either it's something people are working on doing, something that has happened in the past, and we're reimagining it, or we're adding to it or taking a little bit away, right? If you think about TV, like you think about movies, there's some realness to it, or it's something that is being planned for the future. Sometimes it's even some stuff that's happening in our day to day. Like in 2020, there are plenty of shows. Like we have Amazon Solos where they're literally showing what was happening last year and kind of the dynamic of what was happening during the year and afterwards to people being alone. And it's really strange. But anyway, it's a good show though on Amazon Solos. It makes you think. I like shows. So really just highlighting this because I just don't want us to be blindsided. So I told you guys I would be studying this, bringing up different topics. So I wanted to bring this up. Scientists and anyone in the technology space is looking into making robots more and more conscious. What does that mean for humans? I don't know, but I will give you my ideas. I do think that, I think that there's a possibility that we may have just robots working for us, right? There's a possibility for that. So I don't know. I don't have like as a big answer, but I wanted to bring it up because I do think it will change this whole dynamic of everything going more virtual. Will affect influencers because the more digital influencers that move into the space, well, they're the idea of perfection now. It's moving from actress models and whatever to now we have the digital influencers that we can mold to our perfection and put them out in front of the world. All right, so that's all I wanted to bring today. I'll keep exploring this. These were the highlights. So, virtualhumans.org is where you can find a lot of the influencers that are out right now, including Michaela FN Mika, who's the rapper, and many others, including like the famous YouTuber AI Angelica or AI Angel. I think Angelica is a real name. The fact that I'm even talking about these people, but they're not people, it just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Um, oh, blows my mind. Like what? Anyway, I am going overtime, but overall, definitely check out some of these videos. The CNBC one was kind of eye opening. It was called Look Michaela and the Rise of Digital Models, where they highlighted, just to kind of go back here, the dark skin model. Let me bring up this image because I know some folks came in later and I do want folks to go see that. This image of this dark skin model. And it's like, okay, well, that could have been an opportunity for a real person, a real dark skin model versus someone that is just made up, created. And that is my concern. My concern is more of like what will be the effect on humans? What is going to be the effect on humans as we see more and more of these digital influencers made popular using ads, like plenty of ads. I'm seeing more and more ads with digital influencers. And we see real people, artists now using going into the digital sphere instead of real life, like Travis Scott. Which I mean, no dig at Travis Scott. I thought it was beautiful, artistic, and everything else. What he created with astronomical. But what is it? What does it mean for us as humans, right? What does it mean for models and artists, singers and rappers and everything else moving forward? Not right now, 5, 10, 15 years from now. What does it mean? Then we have this idea of turning people into digital forms. So we already have the filters, right? You can't really find pictures of anyone without a filter. I'm surprised YouTube doesn't have a filter. Like I surprised I can't just go in and go, look, I want a little makeup on my face today. Filter, trim my face up. Filter. Like I'm surprised if it's not if it's not here now. Maybe they're working on it. But everything has a filter. So now we're going a step up. Well, now you can digitize yourself. We're becoming more and more digital as humans as well. What impact does that have on us? Are we forgetting what human is? It's kind of weird because sometimes I'm like, oh, that's what that person actually looks like without a filter. So taken away from that, this idea of consciousness, robotic consciousness, because this is something that a lot of people think. Robots can't do our same jobs. They don't have emotions. They're made to have emotions now. They can smile, they can laugh, they can respond to you, they can have an interview with you, they can have real conversations with you, they can be in commercials, they can do all of that. The only things I do see that even in robotics, when we get to robotics, so real life robots, in places like digital factories, for example, is they can't do small incremental things that require, smaller hands or quick action with the hands, so putting little pieces together. So I see that they can't do that yet, but rest assured, I'm sure a company is working on fixing that real soon. Anyway, all this to say, we got to keep an eye on it because these trends will affect day to day people and how we work and what we do on a day to day. Influencers, YouTubers, actresses, models, singers, whatever, you name it. Even dancers, because you see in a lot of the videos now, they have the virtual dancers. In Travis Scott's video, virtual dancers. They weren't dancing well. Go and see that video. Let me put this in the chat because I was like, what in the world is going on here? Um, there was no rhythm. It was very robotic dancing. I will have to agree. I'm proud mommy said you're still here and you agree. You agree. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. So, I mean, but I can imagine they will fix that soon because as we go each year, there's more and more being done to make robots, artificial intelligence, all this digital stuff to be more human, but a perfect version of humanity versus what really is human, which we have imperfections, right? So anyway, I'm going to close out with this. And thank you all for watching. Tomorrow morning, I am going to be doing a session for those that are job seekers. I am going to be talking about LinkedIn because if you've been on any of my videos in the past, you guys know I talk about LinkedIn in every video. In almost every video, I'm talking about jobs. I am talking about LinkedIn. And in particular, I want more Black people to realize how powerful LinkedIn is as a tool to networking, to finding jobs, to even branding yourself. You can do all of that on LinkedIn. So tomorrow morning, 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time, I am going to be taking a deep dive into LinkedIn. And I did do a preview video. Let me post that in the chat real quick. Actually, I'm not going to do that. It's on my channel. But that is a preview to what we will be doing on Friday. So Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully, I can't talk. Hopefully, you enjoyed the content today, and thank you, proud mommy Sarah. I'm glad you thought it was a good topic. I thought so. I'm going to continue to have these chats on artificial intelligence, robotics, and just the trends that I'm seeing and some of the dangers I see, concerns I have for us as people. And yeah, and what it means. I mean, I think overall, it's a great money incentive for companies to use artificial intelligence, digital, influencers, robots, and all the like. I think it's a big money grab, and the people are accepting of it. So if we're accepting of it and we're getting pushed little by little, people are gonna people are gonna buy in. They're not even gonna realize what happened. So with that, thank you again for watching. I appreciate your time today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.